Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of In Conversation. My name is Bongani and this episode is one of the many that you shouldn't miss. As today we're going to be delving deeper and deeper into an amazing book titled The Rusty Teen Hotel. And today I'm joined by the author, Nomali Zondi. Nomali, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's good to be here.
It is quite an honor, Nomali. Well, you've written an amazing book, and it's really making waves. And it's an emotional one. It's an informative, educational. But can you kindly share what the book is about initially?
The Rusty Teen Hotel follows the lives of 5 Zulu girls from different backgrounds who meet at Inanda Seminary. And then it's a coming-of-age book. So it's post-apartheid South Africa because if you look at it, people call us the born free. Or are we really born free?
Wow.
Or we still under the shackles of apartheid?
Indeed.
So what I've tried to do in the book is link that brutal history to where to why we're here now. So it's just the girls talking about the hardships, the violence, the rape, but not only focusing on the bad, but on the triumphs as well, and the resilience. So that's what the book is about.
Indeed. And when I saw the cover of the book, I wondered why the name, The Rusty Teen Hotel.
The Rusty Teen Hotel is exactly just that. On the outside, it's just a shack with no. If you look, it's just a stat of people who are landless. So when you look at it, it's just a shack in a rough, raggedy place. But if you come inside, there's a lot of history and education and understanding and caring inside. So the rusty tin being the tin itself, hotel being the warmth that you get inside there.
Wow.
Like, it's not a 5-star outside, but it's a 5-star inside.
Inside.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
You know. It's best of both worlds. And since you say the struggles, the bad, and also the triumphs that are in between. Outside, it's a struggle, as you may see it, but deep down inside, there's triumph. Well, as you did say, normally that it follows the lives of 5 women navigating complexities of womanhood, identity, and tradition. But however, all this, the setup or the set, it's in Inanda Seminary School. Why is this place of importance to the story?
So Inanda Seminary is a place that is, if you look at Inanda Seminary's history, it was a school built for girls because the founders saw the importance of a girl child getting an education. Because there was a time where a girl child was not allowed to go to school because the only job that they had to do was to look after the home. So this school came at the time where that was needed, where you needed girls to go out and shine. The motto of the school is shine wherever you are.
Wow.
So, and from those times till now, Inanda Seminary has produced big names. So that's why I decided to kind of like focus on it, because it had one mission, and which I think it has achieved in empowering and liberating a woman.
It's like now, what are the implications for women's education in South Africa? What influence do we see being exerted by these characters from the book?
Okay, for example, there's one character to show you the importance of a foundation, education as a foundation.
Yes.
There's one character who, for me, is the main character. And she's one who did not finish her matric because she failed her matric. But she's the one that is kind of like of the bond and the leader to the ones that have gone out to university and studied and made a comfortable lives for themselves. So it just shows you that if you give a girl child an education, you've kind of changed the world, because no matter how little the education is, a girl child will still make good use of it. So that's I think that's how I've tried to showcase the importance of education.
Yes.
And there's this saying that says that you educate a girl child, you educate a nation. Yes.
And indeed. And we do see that. And off air, we did touch on the different backgrounds of the characters themselves. I think they're also important. Can you kindly highlight for me, in terms of the 5 characters, where they're coming from and their different worlds that brings them here at Inand?
Okay, so there's one girl called Mandy.
Okay.
Mandy is she's her mother is Tswana, her father is a Zulu man, so you can understand the two cultures meeting. And they meet in Joburg. The father is a taxi driver and then grows into the business and becomes a taxi mogul.
Yeah.
So with that comes violence as well.
Yeah.
So Mandy has to be kind of moved from Joburg to Inanda Seminary for her safety. So you can imagine the paranoia that comes with that, you know, that
True.
once there are a lot of people, you're constantly having to look at your back. And so that's Mandy for you. And then you have Ubongiwe. Ubongiwe is raised by a single mom.
Yeah.
Her mom is a nurse at a hospital, so that's where they live at the hospital quarters.
Yeah.
So she's also a bit sheltered. And then you have Tobegile.
Yeah.
Tobegile is a rural girl who's had the best life, I think, out of all the girls.
Wow.
Because it comes with growing up in an open space where you're not really affected by the land position in South Africa, because you were born there, your ancestors were born there, nobody was ever moved. So you've got that freedom of land and kind of like working with the land, you know, growing your own food, getting water from a clean stream. So I'd say when I look at it, she's had the best life because there's nothing that has tainted her sort of like situation growing up. And then you have Nokolo, who has a little bit of a hard background because she had good parents growing up. But remember, in 1994, people always talk about the freedom that came with it.
Yeah.
But they don't talk about the amount of people that lost their jobs. So, because when the firms had to shut down and people were running for their lives because they thought there was going to be an uprising, taking what they could out of the country. So Nokolo is a victim of that. So they have to come and look for a job to Joburg. Then the mom is kind of like not knowing, get into prostitution. And then the dad finds out and the dad kills the mom, and then she has to go back to KwaZulu-Natal and live with the grandmother. And living with the grandmother, her own brother, kind of like, I think he's also affected by what has happened.
Yeah.
So he starts hanging out with the wrong crowd and becomes very violent at home. And you know how grandmothers are, protective of the boy child. Nokolo is supposed to be submissive to the brother because the grandmother believes that since he's the boy, he must be respected. And then that ends up in rape. The brother starts raping Nokolo. So Nokolo is one that has experienced that violation. And then you have Amanda. Amanda, she comes from parents who are well off, they studied, they have good jobs, she's used to travel, she's used to, but then she has her own issues with her sexuality. So she's kind of like trying to discover that, and also with the question of saying, why can't I just be? Why should I always have to explain my sexuality? Because I feel like there's a lot around that too, that my sexuality does not define me.
True.
So Nokolo is a lawyer who starts taking on cases pro bono, LGBTQI cases pro bono, because she has that strong sense of, let's just be, like my sexuality doesn't have to do anything with it. You know what I mean? And
I kind of like how all characters, they link in different aspects. You know, as you're saying, this setup is post-apartheid South Africa, but also we're getting a sense of there's still cultural linkage with the one that is in the rural areas who haven't suffered in terms of land. But we're also having modern elements that we're actually going through, you know, the identity crisis that also is arising along the story. And one being from a certain suburb or a certain area, which is different from other. And that already creates a lot of discourse. And it makes me wonder to say now, as these people will explore, in the story they explore friendships of some sort, what unifies them in a sense there in the book?
What unifies them, I guess, it's firstly is because they are all girls. I think that woman, and I wanted to make an emphasis on women holding, because there's this narrative that women can never hold things together. There's always like this form of drama. Once there's that thing that people say, once the women are there, then there will be drama.
Like we don't like
exactly.
Like you can't have them in the same. It's like bulls in one crawl.
Like they say that we don't get along. So I wanted to showcase that we can get along, and we do get along. It's just that people don't focus on us getting along, because everybody likes drama.
Everyone likes drama. True. And it's so amazing how that bond actually extends, and we see the characters evolve and grow because of that womanhood, as you dub it there. But also another key element is the element of the born-free generations. As you said, that it's in question. Are we really free because we are post-apartheid? And can you discuss the ways in which now elements such as poverty and lack of access kind of hinders progress in people's lives, even in post-apartheid? You touched on the mining's closing, the industry's closing. So that kind of created a new problem, which doesn't really perpetuate freedom in a sense, because you are poor, you can't go to specific schools, maybe access is limited. What's your take on that?
So when it comes to, I always say to people that poverty is the biggest dignity snatcher. And for me, dignity is the first right that everybody deserves to have. Mind everything else. So when you take away that right, then you've completely violated the person. So I've also showcased how poverty can make us turn against each other. Because if you remember in Inanda, Phoenix Bambai, I've showcased how, because of fighting for land, the Indian community, who was just as poor as the African community, started clashing with each other because of land. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to show you how poverty can turn you into a monster, an animal, because you just like destitute, and you just want you want to do anything you can to get whatever you can get out of the environment and the space that you find yourself in. So for me, I always say that the first thing that we should restore is fighting against poverty. And then we can also then after that we'll look at other things. But if we could get rid of poverty and restore people's dignity, then we'd go far.
History depicts, honestly, I think the fight for resources and the fight for a better life. You know, people have done worse. You know, willing to betray, willing to fight, and trying to conquer more. So I do agree actually that poverty is currently the biggest enemy. To say if you are poor and you have lack of access to resources, you know, your future becomes disturbed. You are hindered in terms of achieving who you are, and ultimately that is your dignity, as you are saying. But also, I cannot the themes of rape and sexual abuse, which are very pervasive themes. How do you think we can work towards creating a culture that prioritizes consent and support survivors?
I think the most important thing is to talk about things. I'm a mother of a boy, and he's 11. And the first thing that I taught him from get-go, if I say no, I mean no. Violence is not the answer. you know. Sometimes I get notes and it's, "Yey wena ngizokushaya." And then he answers back, says, "Mama, you're not like that. Violence is not the answer." Because
Yeah, those are your words.
because that's I feel like that's where we should go. That's where we should understand, because there's a mistake that we make where we think that rape only happens between a girl and a boy. You know, sometimes it's the other way around. So we need to understand we need to understand boundaries. We need to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like that's the first step. People must just have more dialogue, because I always believe that human beings, nobody was born to hurt another human being. It's always a hurt human being that hurts a human being. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we can talk about it and just talk about the hurts that I feel when you do that, then it automatically it's gonna stop you. It's gonna want you to prevent me feeling that hurt.
It actually speaks to that, cultivating that mindset to be like, because it becomes as if you are reciprocating the energy. It's like someone did this, I'm also going to do the same energy, and it ultimately destroys the entire society and the well-being of living as a community, as a people, as a world, in a sense of like now we constantly hate like hurting one another. And I also like the element of cult from a very tender age. As we said, your son is 11, but you've cultivated that idea to say no is a no at the end of the day. So should it even be to a girl child, a no is a no at the end of the day. You know, to draw those lines and draw those boundaries and teach kids from an early age for them to grow with it. I think that's really a good first step to take.
Yeah, and for me, I believe that it's not you even teaching it. It's you just protecting the innocence, because we are all born with an innocence, and we're all born with understanding that this is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just the parents' job or the society's job to protect that innocence. You know.
Yeah, you really are taking me on a memory lane. It does make sense, honestly, because as you speak of things like you're guilt conscious, you know, if you're from a religious family or background, you also know that there's an inner voice that tells you this is that, you know. So a child is innocent as far as everyone knows, right? So now to protect that innocence, then where do we lose it? You know, as you're saying, it takes a community and parents to try and protect that. It's a powerful perspective.
Because with everyone, if you look at a person, like because I observe people a lot. If you look at a person, if you follow the person's journey, you know how long the person went, and then you can see if something happened that was wrong.
Yeah.
You can see the switch. No, this person was not like this. Something must have happened that kind of like changed or stole that innocence. So for us, I believe that it's not even about the teaching per se. It's about just protecting the innocence.
Wow. Do you think that is, okay, not possible, but I'm trying to find a better word to say, can we at some point reach that state whereby you can protect that innocence? Because with the things that are happening in and around the world, you know, as we're saying now, the world is growing to be a global village. What's happening in America, let's say it's a fight against somebody, it's a certain race, it's this, the access to that information, do you think we can be able to at least at our very best try to protect that innocence with the contexts that are around us?
I think it's possible, and I think for me, the way to go about doing it is not losing who we are, because I feel like most of the times it's because people have lost who they are. They don't know who they are, so they kind of like dabble everywhere. Because for me, I always say that if I know that I'm a Zulu woman, and I know the matriarchs before me well, and what they stood for, and what they'd accept and what is unacceptable in their space, then I can't come here and have Bongani tell me, Wuti, no, Nomali, this is not it. This is how because I know myself, and I know the people, the women before me.
Before you, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and the things that they valued and the things that they, because we tend to focus on the bad side of history.
True.
So I think that's how we can get to a point where we are protecting each other's innocence, just holding on to who we are.
Yeah, and you touching on the bad side of history kind of set you for my trap. Because in terms of the magical thinking and reliance on sangomas is also a powerful theme, which is more also now, I don't know whether it's a sense of bad history or it has been seen as or it's misunderstanding of what the sangomas were initially for. But you talk about that in the book. Can you enlighten me on that understanding between sangomas' reliance on them and how dangerous it can be at some point?
Yeah, so I will take you to Abangoni firstly. Abangoni are the people that do not falter.
Yeah.
That was just trying to show you who we are.
Yeah.
And that's when Izangoma gets in. There were people who are here to heal.
Okay.
But with colonization, they started to be seen as bad people. Because it was always known that if you kind of like tear apart someone's spirituality, then you've kind of tore them apart.
Yeah.
Because they don't know who they are. They don't know what they stand for anymore.
Oh.
So they'll start holding on to other things.
Yeah.
So when I talk about Izangoma, most of the times I always try to make an emphasis with, at the end of the day, these are healers. You know,
Indeed.
these are your, if I'm sick, I go to a doctor.
Yeah.
But it's okay because he's a Western doctor.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
But if I go to a Sangoma, then that's a problem.
That's a problem. Big
You
one.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like I was saying that as media, we're not doing a great job. You know, someone can't just be successful. This is me talking as a filmmaker. Someone can't just be successful because they went to school and worked hard. You know, they must be going to Izangoma and Utwala and which is kind of like diluting the real reason we have Izangoma. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. And uqiniso, you know, when you hear the thing of hitmen, where they went to a certain place to be strengthened and they get to do certain things which are not really progressive for the society, and that kind of labels Isangomas wrongly at some point.
Exactly. And for me, those are not Isangoma. So we need to refrain from saying that a person went to Isangoma and Isangoma told him or her to go and rape a child so that they can get luck. Or go kill a person so that your things will go well. Because those are not Izangoma. Izangoma are people that will tell you, Guti, connect to your nature.
That misconception is also seen in the book where an elderly woman is burned just because of being suspected of that.
Yes. I've seen a lot. I'm from KZN, so I've seen a lot of that. I've seen where a simple thing as a person who's died because they were HIV positive. And then the next person that was killed was an old woman who was a Sangoma because when you use umuti, so you're the one who has done this to our daughter. And the funny part about it that I always find strange is that it's always an old woman. You hardly hear an old man being tortured by the society because they're a witch, because they're Isangom.
True.
So for me, it goes back to the patriarchal world that we still find ourselves in. Because it's most of the time it's very rare that it's a guy that has been tortured alive. It's always a woman, an older woman. Yeah.
And we've seen many reports, of course, from KZN and across the country, you know, provinces such as the Eastern Cape and other provinces. We've seen that happening, actually. You find elderly women being burned alive just because of they were suspected of such. How do you then, because it usually happens in rural South Africa, how do we then try to curb sort of these acts that are merely based on suspicion, no tangible evidence that that those people have done what they're alleged to have done?
So what I believe that we can do, I always say that it everything comes from making an emphasis on something. So Tina, we need to make an emphasis on the fact that being a Sangoma, what does being a Sangoma mean? because people don't know. Just like everything else, it's just what the media says, what the people, because that's the also important thing of having African writers.
Yeah.
Because African writers will write from a point of view of themselves, of who they are. But then if you have a Western writer writing about a sangoma, then you're going to have a problem. Because when I was doing research for the book, and I was trying to find out how, because I talk about Isandlwana. So I was trying to find out what happened. How did the Zulu people conquer the British without any guns, So I was reading this book, and it was written by a British guy, I can't remember his name. And he was saying that before, the reason that they were conquered is because before the war took place, the African witches went out and used muti. So that muti was so powerful that these people couldn't shoot at them. So can you see that kind of like narrative that is going out there? Then you're trying to, no man, they conquered you because they conquered you. It had nothing to do. So you can't now try to make excuses and say that. Do you see how someone can misinterpret what it means being a sangoma from hearing that?
True, indeed.
You know,
that representation, that portrayal, which is, as you said, it goes back to the media itself. As a person who's a historian who has written a book that documents such an important or a historical event such as Impiasa Sandlwana, and you documenting that, no, these people, these black people, they were using muti on us. So it has nothing to do with their accuracy in terms of shooting or any other thing, or that they were more powerful than them.
Exactly.
But now you need to point down. You can't say their spear was too sharp, but you're pointing down to muti, and that taint a dark cloud over that specific practice of these people that you are alleging against.
Exactly, exactly. And you're downing down their intellect.
Exactly.
Because what you are trying to avoid is that they outsmart us. They were just smarter than us.
Can't agree. You can't just say.
But then there's this thing that they can't be smart. They're black.
They're black. So definitely.
So definitely it has to do with that umuti wabo. And that thing carries on. And when I go to church and there's a preacher that's going to say umuti, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
So it goes back to saying that we just need to have an understanding of being a sangoma and have more people like myself who are Africans who have experienced that particular thing. And say, right, not Mir Makeba once said that like sometimes we have to stop because the conqueror will always write things from their perspective. So sometimes you have to get to a point where you write things from your side too, like because no one is going to write how like that that example we're just making now that we're outsmarted. They're gonna find a nicer way to say why they were defeated. Then my story is never gonna be told. And now it's me and you as people that studied film. You know, I think that theory is such a self-representation to say it's high time that black people or people in general, you know, that have been underrepresented or misrepresented, to now give the world their version of the story, and that to a greater extent will clear some of the blurred lines in between, to say conceptions, because there are so many misconceptions, as you're saying that. And it's so sad that it has cascaded to now almost dismantling the communities that are in rural settings, because certain things are seen as wrong, whereas they've carried our great-grandparents right through, and we are a product of them through the same practices that they had. It's just that now we are also getting modernized, or with a Western mindset, to say, let's shut down upon our own practices as a people. Yeah. So for me, when I because there's a part where I write about that in the book, where the difference between when the mom is dancing to the African drum, and the different way when they're at church and being expected to worship, and how so natural and normal and in tune she is when dancing to the drum, because that's who she is and that's what she connects to. and then now she's forced to go and oblige and do something where she's really not connecting with it. But then at the end of the day, she's been told, leave that and come do this. And this one is better than that one.
Yeah, become more reserved, more what they deem as civilized. When you're wearing in a certain attire that is more, you covered the entire body and all. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I understand that picture for me, kind of, that analogy, it's right in my head. I'm seeing it happen. Like, I'm like, okay, you can't really see a person be loose like that, be more engaged with the environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Allowing themselves to feel, because when an African person is dancing to the drum, you can see that they are allowing themselves to feel.
Yeah.
Whereas in the church, you're just doing what you. Not that I'm against church.
Yeah, no, I can see.
But it's just two different
environments,
people.
Yeah. People, true. And you also touched on patriarchy. Of course, off air we did speak that the book intends not to, the word that you used, not to monsterize.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the term. So I also want us to get it clear to a person that's getting a copy soon or that has read it, to be like, as an author, you tried your very best not to monsterize, but to try and have more people involved. Can you tell me about that idea of not monsterizing others? What is the vision of the book in society?
Like I said to you, earlier, that it's the victim that victimizes a person.
Yeah.
So I can't now, because you've victimized me, after you being victimized, come and monsterize you. I just need to find a way where I can say that, guys, let's just sit down and talk and show each other our wounds. That I'm wounded, you're wounded. The pain is the same. So how do we work now towards avoiding inflicting pain on each other? So that was the reason, because if I started to write from a point of view where the men were monsterized, yes, I do tell the stories and I do tell the injustices that they commit, but I always use some sort of a background that will show the reader that the reason that this person did this was because he's probably also hurt by A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's why now he's also committing this crime against this woman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, because I don't want us to get, at the end of the day, I always look at us as a family. We are brothers, we are sisters. And I never want us to get to a point where you did this to me, I did this because, and then we start having a back and forth, because if I monsterize, you're going to start defending yourself. Gandhi, if I tell you, good to look at what you've done when you did this, you're going to go and sit down and reason and think about it and come back with an apology and trying to fix what you've done, what you've committed, and tell yourself or make an oath to yourself that I'll never do this again because I've inflicted so much pain on this person.
And would you say that is one of the steps that we can take as a nation in terms of creating a more inclusive and equitable society, with including women, of course?
Exactly. I strongly believe that if we balance the equation, then we're going to go somewhere. I strongly believe that if we just invest as much as on a boy child as we invest on the woman, then we are going to have a very good society, because trust me, you can liberate, empower the woman all you want. At somewhere, somehow, that girl child will end up in that unliberated guy who's got a very low self-esteem, who is not sure of themselves, and then we have another problem.
It becomes a vicious
where
cycle.
Now the guy is using violence to kind of like be on the same par as this girl who's now like so powerful and liberated. So we need to get people on the same
pedestal
level of thinking,
so
that we can have a better society. So the focus, yes, must be on the girl child 100%, but also let's not leave our boys behind.
I'm captivated. I'm intrigued, especially, when you touch on balance. Most of the time when you speak maybe of feminists, some of them become radical with the approach, which is the same thing that, of course, I think we all understand that the world imbalanced in terms of patriarchy and matriarchy. But now we need to be at an equilibrium whereby everyone is equal at least, or that all views matter and people get to understand. And some of the keywords and no is a no. And as you get to hear a person's perspective and then you reason with whatever that is offered on the table. And that for me also would make a good society, honestly.
Well, I don't call myself a feminist. I'm a humanist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a humanist. I'm all for the human being.
All for the human being.
Because I believe that we are all born innocent until something along the way happens.
Yeah.
And then I become...
Yeah, and that also kind of brings in coexistence. It makes it better, you know.
Yes.
And if you're for women, if you're for human or humanist, definitely it's for everyone. But also, I would also like to know in terms of what would you wish for readers to learn from your book. You know, I think that is important when you're writing it. And it took you 5 years. And I think we need to mention that this book, like, it has emotions. And so I was like, in the beginning, there's emotion because it took you time. And now that it has taken you that long, what do you wish people to take home, you know?
I want people to take home humanity. I want people to understand who they are.
Yeah.
I want people to... I take you back to history so that we don't repeat the mistakes of our ancestors. Because I always say to people that when you after you finish washing a baby, you take out the baby and you put it on the side because it works, because it's what you need. But you throw out the dirty water.
True.
So that's my take on history as well.
Yeah.
That we need to take the good stuff in it, also look at the bad stuff so that we don't repeat it.
I love your analogies. Your analogies just kind of makes me understand because I'm a visual person. So I'm like imagining now the child being taken off and then you throw away the water, and it makes sense to be like, let's get rid of the dirt from our past. Very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. I think you captivated me because of those analogies that you're making. You make it so much easier for me to relate and understand. Because like, I'm picturing the whole thing. But well, normally we are almost at the end of our interview. So we have a thing that we call the Monday Motivation. So where I would like you to kind of look into that camera and motivate a person sitting out there. Maybe a reader of the book itself, or a person who's going through something right now and they don't believe that they can make it through. But it's to anything that's going through your mind right now that can inspire a person watching us right now.
Okay, so I must look
into that camera.
Now you're making me do the hard part.
Welcome.
All right. Okay, I'm Nomali Zondi, and I'm the author of the Rusty Tin Hotel. All I can say to a person who's down and out is that the future is bright, and that look at me today. I've completed a book after 5 years. So anything is possible if you believe in yourself and you believe who you are.
Powerful. Powerful. But I feel like I got inspired through the conversation itself. But you have me, honestly. You've inspired me a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And again, thank you so much for joining me today for this conversation. It really meant a lot.
You're most welcome. I love spaces like this more where I can touch the young people, because my focus is on young people.
Young people,
Yeah.
indeed. And where can the young people get the book, a copy, and where can they find you on social platforms?
I'm not active on social.
Okay, but the book, then we need the book.
The book is available on Amazon.
Okay.
Or you can pre-order, because I do send hard copies, because I know not everybody reads like reading
Digital,
on
yeah.
digital.
Yeah.
So if you want
Hard copy.
you can pre-order, and the number is 073-085-2880.
Awesome. Oh, thank you
So
so
that
much.
is where you can get your hard copy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nomali.
All right then. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, dear viewers. This was my conversation with the author of the Rusty Tin Hotel, Nomali. I got to actually learn a lot from this conversation, and feel like, I was part of the process when she was writing all this, because I imagined and envisioned what these 5 women in the book actually go through, and some of the things that have been a misconception to us as a country and as an African nation. But thank you for tuning into this episode. My name is Bongani. See you on the next one.